Well, welcome to Fridge Art. I'm Andrea Radick.
And I'm Kristen Plesko.
So, we're going to talk a little bit differently. We don't have a topic in mind for this one, but we went to the Columbus Invitational through work, and wanted to give you guys sort of an idea of the type of stuff that we tend to see there. And
A lot of people.
yeah, there's a lot of people.
In this case, there were a lot of also, I guess there was like a cheerleading convention as well.
Oh my god, yeah. There was a cheerleading convention going on. Moms and tarted up. Prostitutes. There we go. Prostitutes.
Little raisins. Like,
little tarted up prostitutes. Yeah, it was raisins. There's a ton of those, and they kept coming up our escalator, and then they would freak out at the top, so they had like 2 people posted there to sort of yell at them. Like, you're going the wrong way. This isn't a cheering competition. They were not even close.
Yeah.
It was like extremely far down the hall on one side and then far on the other side. Like,
They tried.
Not even close. So, yeah, I think they ended up having about 1,400 people. I actually think it was less than that. I think it was 1,200.
Yeah, I'm not sure of the exact numbers, but we also don't get to see the numbers. We just until later.
Just our estimates that they sort of give us.
Yeah. So.
And then we had a guest thing. We had guest Magic the Gathering artists that were there, which were Raul Vitale, Brian...
Tom Baxa. Is it Baxa? I think it's Tom Baxa.
Yeah, Tom Baxa.
And Brian, and I cannot remember his last name because I am terrible. And also their
something
agent.
With a W.
Yeah, and then
he was charging $2 for his signature, so that's how I remembered him. He was the $2 signature man.
Yeah,
because we keep forgetting his last name.
I learned his name after I got coffee in the morning, and I offered coffee to I guess Brian and Raul wanted some coffee. Tom apparently is a trooper and didn't need any coffee, so
good on him.
That's a good way to make friends, by the way, is offer to bring someone food or coffee.
Oh yeah, I was like bringing people snacks. So I had like these little packets of flavor blasted cheddar goldfish, extreme cheese goldfish.
Yeah, and must have extreme.
And then some like chewy bars. And so I went around the second day and I just sort of offered them. I'm like, would you like some goldfish or a chewy bar? And then Raul didn't want anything. And then $2 signature man wanted both of the things that I had.
He also had the agent with him.
He did, that's true.
Yeah, so...
And then Tom Baxa wanted, I think it was just the chewy bar, I think.
Okay. And I got the goldfish.
Yeah, and you got the goldfish, that's right.
Yeah.
And so yeah, no, it's a good way, and I mean you have a lot of time out there by yourself. So the way that Magic the Gathering works, if anybody's not sure, especially in a big tournament sense, is there's a billion people milling around when nothing is happening. And then a round starts, and then it becomes dead silent for like 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Roughly, 30 to 40 minutes.
I guess it gets more busy as the round goes on.
Well, yeah, because people are finishing early, and then those people have no choice but to mill around. And then they come out by us, and that's how we make our money, or between rounds.
That's how you get them.
But when those rounds are happening, there is literally nobody out there. So you just sort of sit there. I had my eyes closed for a while and took a bit of a short nap. Like, not really an actual nap. I just kind of had my eyes closed. And then for a lot of the times, you would just go over to the other artist's table and sort of talk with them. And it was fun talking with them. I'm a little hoarse. So it's kind of an interesting dynamic. Like it was fun going to other people's tables, and you sort of tell them the same things that you hear a million times. So my favorite thing was going up to them and just asking them. I'm like, so how often have you had someone come up to you and tell you that they can't draw a straight line? And everybody gives the exact same face, which is like, oh my god, I've heard that 9 million times. I cannot stand another time. So if you ever think that you're clever by going up to an artist and say you can't draw a straight line, it's probably really worn out its welcome at that point, and the artist has nothing better to do but then give a polite laugh and then roll their eyes because they're really sick of hearing that all the time.
It's not a funny joke.
Also, I can't even draw a stick figure.
That's the other one.
Then the third runner of what doesn't happen as often is I can't even draw, or I can't even trace around my hand.
I haven't gotten that one.
I've only gotten that a few times.
Okay,
once at the Invitational, though.
That's the rare Pepe of.
It is the rare Pepe. 99
of art pickup.
What would you
lines.
say is the percentage of people that say they can't draw a straight line versus the people that can't draw a stick figure?
I think more people say straight line because I think it's a common.
It's not that far off. I would say it's 60% straight line, 40% can't draw a stick figure. So
it's pretty
don't
close.
ever say that. Just
It's not funny.
Or
literally
maybe
just bring us coffee.
Yeah. We had
If
somebody
you want us
bring
to
us,
like you, just
somebody brought us a chocolate cake, which was really unusual, but
you
it was
get
really
a lot
awesome
of
of
points
them.
for Gryffindor if you bring us a cake. Like, that's really a... Like, literally, all you have to do to make friends with artists, if you're like, wow, this is literally the star of the show, I have to literally, coffee, snacks. They will love you.
We had so in Columbus there is a place called the North Market, which has this array. I've never been in there because I didn't get a chance to go there when it was open. It has this array of just really fantastic food. And like a lot of those things where you have to get in there at a certain time. I guess there's a place called Hot Chicken or something to that effect where you can only go between 11 and 3 and they only have 1,000 pieces of chicken, and when they're done, they're sold out. But we had a guy, was that Friday? I think it was Friday when that happened. Yeah. We had to be there from essentially 10 until about 9. That was most of our days. You work extremely long hours at conventions, especially if you have to guest artist or anything like that. Mm-hmm. People that are a little bit better known, they can tend to set their own hours. But people like us who are more or less sort of hanging onto the coattails of the company and we set up there, you have to really put in a lot of time and just 10-hour days at least.
I'd say most of the magic artists too usually sit the whole time, or at least most of the time. Like, unless I think the only exceptions would be like John Avon and then Therese Nielsen.
Well, John Avon has a medical condition.
Oh yeah, but then also like Therese Nielsen, I think, but only because she had classes to run.
Right.
So she only really took a break, I think, for lunch. And then to run her classes at Gen Con. So and basically you're there the whole time. Even
the magic artists that were there, they were generally there for, a long goddamn time.
Yeah, so you're looking at least 8 hours.
Yeah, definitely.
Probably more 10 to 12.
So it always really pays to know somebody that's there so that they can at least run and get you lunch or something. But most of our coworkers were all busy, working the show that they were in, and they... a few times they came by and they asked if we were doing okay, but, it was more or less on us to try and figure out how we were going to do lunch and breakfast and everything.
Yeah, they provided water, but that's, which is...
2 bottles each time. So that's why I drink like 10 bottles of water on Saturday.
Yeah, we actually got it. We were adequately hydrated.
Yeah, we put in 10 to 12-hour days.
Yeah.
13-hour days in some cases.
Normal. And we didn't have to do really commissions to take home, which was probably...
Well, you chose to do commissions.
Well, no, but I mean, like, take home. Like, this was, like, in between rounds and stuff, you do have some time.
Yeah.
So it's worth it maybe to do a couple of commissions, especially if you know you're on time limit. Like, for me, tokens to draw take maybe, like, 10 to 15 minutes.
I'm at a point right now that I freelanced for a long time, and I have a salaried position with a company, and I'm at a show where I'm selling stuff, and it's really not my most... I don't need to open for commissions to make extra money, because it's sort of a hassle, and sometimes you get somebody, they're like, oh, can you draw 9 things on this 2.5 by 3.5 inch card? And you're like, yeah, I don't know how well that's going to work in here. I think you're trying to cram too many commissions in at one point.
Luckily, the people I got were pretty...
Yeah, no, and honestly, a lot of the people that I got, I inevitably started doing... Somebody asked if I was doing, like, sketches on tokens, and if I could do that of their animals. I'm like, yeah, that's actually a great idea, I'll do that. And then people just kept seeing it, and they're like, oh, I saw you were doing something, I also want to give you something. And they're like, no, okay, I've made quite a bit more money doing this, I really should have done this the first time.
Yeah, but since they're tiny, it didn't, to me at least, it didn't feel as stressful as working on, like, a big sketch or, like, a painting or something, which is something I've done at Anthrocon before and I never want to do again. Not because I don't enjoy painting for people, but because it's incredibly awful if you're there for 12 hours and you have to spend another 6 hours.
Yeah.
It kills your hand.
You need that time off. You need that extra time off.
Because we slept and we still didn't get enough sleep, and we didn't really have anything to do other than
we were exhausted. I'm still exhausted. It's been, 3 days, and I'm still dead.
Yeah, I'm going to go home and basically drink a gallon of coffee. I mean, 4 cups. But,
Well, what we were saying, we never got to a point with the previous thing. Basically, we had somebody come up, and we were talking about the North Market, about food. Well, whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever, I'm tired.
I was 20 feet away. Lonely.
Anyways, so we were talking... You weren't lonely. I was talking about... they had, like, a barbecue place in there, and I talked with him for a while. He was fun to talk with, and he's like, oh, I think I told him, hey, let me know how the barbecue place is. Maybe I'll send somebody in there to get me something later. He's like, I could do better than that. And he just, like, left the table right away. And I'm like, is he gonna go and get me some barbecue? And he fucking did. He went there, he got a thing of barbecue and, like, these biscuits and the barbecue sauce and was cheese grits. They're really good cheese grits.
They're great.
And he brought an additional set for me. I had to pay him, but it was super nice of him to do that. And then we ended up having a picnic behind the table.
Yeah, even if you just offered to do something like that,
that's how you know you've really done well in an artist book, if they invite you behind the table to have a little picnic.
Yeah, and not everyone might do that, but at the very least, you know that they at least like you. Yeah, because you brought them. Even if you asked for payment and stuff, you did, and then provide a service for them that they could not do themselves. Yeah, and they really appreciate it.
Oh yeah. And then when we were having our picnic, we talked about poop and vomit most of the time.
It was great.
It was great.
We told all our best poop stories.
Oh, we had a lot of great poop stories.
We won't share them here, but if you ever want to hear poop stories from any of us, we have good ones.
Yeah, just come up to us at a convention, ask about our poop stories, and we'll let you know.
Yeah. That's how we know you're listening.
Mm-hmm. That's the secret code word. So
that's the trigger word or whatever. What is the safe word? There we go.
Anyways, so my other favorite thing that happened with this convention is the magic artist came up to us and what is that guy? The $2 man.
Brian
Wozniak.
It wasn't Wozniak. It was something.
That's the thing with Apple. $2 man. He came up to me and
We're the worst. We should probably overdub
honestly.
this Brian and then whatever his name is Wibble Wobble. Just dub it over.
Brian Wooble. Is it Brian McTwo?
Brian W.
Brian W. There you go. With Brian W.
And we mean no disrespect if he happens to be listening. Why are you listening? Or last names. I can hardly remember my own last name.
That's such a bullshit excuse. You know what?
Fuck
you.
Hey.
I can't even remember owners.
I can't even draw a straight line.
Says the person I sign my fucking name on everything. Eat shit. That is the worst fucking excuse.
Okay, you're true. It's right. I'm a liar.
I can't even draw a straight line.
Sometimes it's hard for me to remember names.
Much less in the shape of my name.
How about this? Sometimes it's hard for me to remember his names, and I remembered Raul's first name before I remember his last name.
Yeah, likewise.
And Tom Bax's is literally 7 letters.
Well,
so it's easy.
Brian W.'s last name is Polish.
Oh, yeah.
And that's already just a coleslaw of consonants together that I can't ever figure out.
Yeah,
with my small American brain.
I need something unusual, but not too unusual. So Raul, I've heard that name before.
Yeah,
but Vitaly, that's extra. That's
Anyways,
we remembered.
So Brian W. was really tired one of the days, and he was just sort of standing over by the railing, and he's just kind of vegging out. You can tell he's just vegging out. And I offered him another Chewy bars on Sunday. And he came over, he's like, well, I might be a bit late to the party. Can I offer you some friendly advice? I'm like, yeah, sure, absolutely, man. He's like, you gotta market to furries. And I was just like, dude, I've literally been a part of that fandom since 2008. If not 2007 or 6-ish.
Yeah. We joined around the same time, the dark years.
I think it was 2008 for me.
Yeah.
I think on my page is
Mine's
2010.
I think September 2008.
Mine, I think, is 2010. It says on mine.
Really?
I think so. I don't know or care, because I'm not on there all that often anymore, but yeah, whatever. So he's like, you gotta market the furries, man. They got really good jobs, and they always want stuff. And I'm like, dude, you're preaching to the choir. I literally have a thing I talk about on YouTube where we say you gotta talk to the furries, and you gotta... And it turns out he runs an airbrushing business thing that he puts furries on T-shirts, and they pay him $150 for it.
Oh, that's fantastic!
Yeah, I know. Yeah. And it only takes him a couple hours to do, and he's really happy with it.
He's pretty good at animals. From what I was looking at his altars and stuff, his rat altars are really good.
Yeah,
yeah.
And then we ended up telling that to Tom Baxa. Yeah. Because he was kind of wondering how he would get into more of an online market. And we're like, well, Kristen told him.
He said he was always looking for more opportunities and stuff, which we all are.
Yeah.
And then I shared with him, well, the way we got started, you ever heard of furries?
Oh my god.
It was great. He was like, oh.
We're not embarrassed of the furries. It does still hold that kind of stigma that's like, oh, you're fucking animals, and we're just bullshit.
Yeah, no, that's what we were actually talking about for a while, was the stigma associated
with it. Oh, really?
Yeah, but basically, it's also become a lot more...
more now, yeah.
More varied, I guess, in terms of, the interests of the furry community. There's more of a general
Well, no, what I'm saying is, like, it's not that we're ashamed of the furries, it's just weird talking about that with somebody we respect.
It has, like, a negative connotation sometimes.
It does, and that's why I didn't really lead off with it, and, like, oh, hey, I work with the furries! Screech, 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 screech.
Yeah,
I'm not
this
I'm
is
not
like the second or third conversation with them.
When you have your professional face on it, it's weird to go back to that, I guess.
Yeah.
Because that's more, hobby stuff.
Yeah, although it's true, though.
No,
the
it's true.
The community does pay very well.
They are, and they literally sustained me for a number of years. But so that was kind of weird. At a point,
I enjoyed it.
It was just funny because, like, you had that conversation with him the day before, or possibly it might have been on Sunday. Might have been early.
It was
Sunday.
Either late Saturday or early.
I think it was early Sunday.
Yeah.
And then I went over by him like, you found out our dark secret, huh? We're all laughing about it and stuff. So. But yeah, and then the thing with Brian happened like late Sunday. It was just like right after that. It's like God damn it,
That's so apparently they didn't share their furry secrets.
I know,
he didn't
right?
tell Tom Baxa.
So it was also interesting because Raul Vitale this is one of his first stuff he had done. It was at least the first Invitational he had done, and I guess one of his first convention types of things, which is interesting. I would have thought that he would have done that.
He seemed to mostly just have the proofs with him.
Yeah, he had proofs with him. He had some mats.
I'm not sure if those were his mats.
Yeah, I'm not sure either.
I don't think they were. I think because the agent kind of took them all, kind of like a mother hen, kind of took them all and yeah. So I think which is surprising because I think all magic artists can pretty much go to GPs once their work is.
Well, it's like we've talked about it before that. The type of people that are going to be successful in doing an art thing tend to be people who are going, even if they suck or if they're not as good as other people, mediocre artists that have that fire and determination that they talk to everybody and they do networking and stuff that way, they always tend to be the most successful people. And it's not the people that are super talented, but they're a little awkward and they expect the world to come to them.
Yeah.
You always have to go out there and you always have to do your own legwork.
Yeah, unless you have an agent. Sometimes that helps too.
No, I'm starting to think nowadays an agent is more or less pointless.
Well, yeah. If you have the ability, but also
if you don't have the ability to network and you're afraid of that type of thing, or you need maybe that's when you would need an agent. But the way that they were kind of speaking about it, it seemed like they help them sort of cope with doing stuff online and putting their artwork out there, which is stuff that we do. Just
that we've
grown up with.
Yeah. So we have the advantage that we grew up with the internet and. That was just something that kind of comes second nature.
Yeah.
I guess. It's not really a problem. We were doing it since, Gaia Online and DeviantArt days. We just...
My first was the Adult Swim forums.
Oh. Yeah.
And then I found somebody else that she was an artist and an illustrator, and her starting thing was Inuyasha as well. And we had a lot to talk about. And I'm like, so how many of those movies you got? She's like, I only have one copy of all of them, but I watched them. I used to watch them a lot.
Good.
A lot of stuff happens.
For me,
it was fantastic.
Elfwood.
Whatever.
You didn't go on Elfwood?
No, I keep telling you this. I was not good enough to be on Elfwood.
It took so long to post things that it literally DeviantArt and everywhere else was much better.
Well, DeviantArt didn't exist.
Well, I know. But once it did,
well, yeah.
There was only a brief period of time. I mean, I think, and also they could still have anonymous comments on Elfwood, which can be really... Yeah, I know. So you know how those get on the internet. It was pretty much YouTube, but...
What else did we have with the Invitational? I'll keep this fairly short. And not go off about Elfwood and DeviantArt.
Oh, yeah. Well, it seems like with different conventions, different things tend to sell better, so it's good to have a smattering.
The thing she is winding around to is Kristen ended up making about double what I did. I counted all my stuff out. It wasn't...
Well, also remember, it was a lot of money to invest in the playmats.
Right, I understand. So Kristen had some playmats that you sold quite a number of. You also had a series of tokens that they had a very similar design with all of them, which
they were like a
mine
set.
don't. Yeah, and
well, they do. They're your style, but I guess mine was it was kind of like a flat. It was supposed to be screen printed. I wasn't able to, but I inkjetted them instead. But yeah, so that was frustrating in a lot of ways, and the work that I put out through Star City Games is not terribly indicative of the actual style that I have. And it tends to be done in a style of our previous illustrator, who we're different people, and
she's the one that she started we started the creature collection through her and her style at that point. So I kind of realized that I sit there and I represent work that doesn't really fit me. And then I get a lot of comments like, oh, I bought this I'm going to get something for my child or my girlfriend. And you have to understand that some of the original artwork that I used to do was definitely scary and kind of gory, and they're kind of polarized.
It doesn't fit your personality.
It doesn't fit my personality. Yeah. So I had a child come up to me, and he asked me what inspired me to draw the otter playmat. And literally, if I had my way, I would have told him what work tells me to draw it. But I had to make up some sort of, heroic thing about, I've always loved the gracefulness of otters or whatever. It was kind of hard in that way, and it was uncomfortable some of the days doing that because I had to put up with a number of people. I think my tally for this invitational alone was about 3 of people that would just talk shit about my artwork right on the other side of the walls that I had there.
Yeah.
And they don't realize that
it's,
great metal, great walls, very easy to hear through. And I think they also didn't realize I was sitting right there.
Yeah.
So, 2 of them were these 2 guys that were sitting there and they're pointing, they're like, I don't fucking understand this. I don't understand why they do this. This is disgusting. Or not disgusting. I'm like, what the fuck is with this type of shit? Generally dismissive comments and stuff. And then they came around the side and they saw me sitting there, and I was just like, I just had my arms folded, and I just gave them a very knowing smirk, like, you should probably leave. Please don't talk to me. Get out. And they fucking booked it. They just like,
yeah.
I went straight inside, and they never came back to my table.
I've actually had people do that before too. Like, they'll just pull out a print, like, wow, this is terrible, and they'll just put it back down and leave, and it's like, all right, you could have, I don't mind constructive criticism, but unfortunately a lot of people don't realize that, like, you did spend time on these things, and it's nice to not feel like a piece of shit when
some people should have better manners and that type of thing. Yeah. And if you guys out there do conventions, that's the type of thing you sort of have to steel yourself against, and you realize that people have differentiating opinions, and some people don't have that filter that they should maybe not tell that to the person that did it right there.
Yeah.
But they're people, and there's going to be, differences between any person that comes by. So it was interesting in some ways. And this one, it was more than we went to the New Jersey Invitational. New Jersey Invitational, I don't think I had anybody that was quite that brash or that upfront.
And I think you sold more prints there, right? Yeah, because I think we both did. Because I remember taking notes of how many prints I sold, and I think I sold way more than I did here.
Yeah,
at the other
different conventions. They do. They have different things. So this one, it definitely wasn't a print convention.
Yeah. So maybe the lesson to take away is, like, remember to have, like, a variety of stuff. So that way, if something doesn't do well, like,
I am planning on doing mats, and I'm going to probably get rid of the stock of tokens that I have right now, and get a much better stock. I might redesign things. But yeah, the thing to take away from this is I'll probably restock or fix up my tokens, and I'm not sure what I'm going to do. I'd much rather represent the type of style that I'd like to do, and I think that might be a way for me to cope with this better, because I also kind of realize that I'm going to have to do this for a while. And
plus, playmats are likely a really good place to do that. And
right.
The problem is, like, and y'all have to remember, like, when you're investing money in these things, like, I think 50 playmats for me cost about $475. So
yeah,
they're
pretty
expensive.
Expensive.
Significant investment to do. Also, they're very heavy. It's like, 30 to 40 pounds, I think, for just the whole thing. Actually, I think it's more than that. I think it's literally 50 pounds. I think it's like a pound a playmat.
Probably. I wouldn't bet that.
But yeah, it's something to keep in mind is that sometimes these things cost money, and you might not be able to do these all at once, but also, like I was going to try and screen print things, which is a little bit cheaper way of doing it, but you have to use a different style. It's not like you can print out, like, a fully painted digital playmat. You have to be very specific and very deliberating.
For screen printing, yes.
For screen printing. But
the person I would go through, I'd probably go through the same people you did.
Yeah, which was inked playmats.
Yeah, inked playmats.
Yeah, and they were very nice. They ship fast, and I recommend them if you guys have any playmat needs, because they were nice to me. And they provided a good product, and honestly, the quality is very good.
I think one of my favorite people there, and we'll probably end up with this, I think one of my favorite people there was the old man that came by right at the tail end. It's just an old man. He doesn't know anything about fucking Magic the Gathering. Yeah, he was somebody that was, like, helped cleaning up with the convention hall, and he just stood all by my stuff, and he's like, why is this weird? I'm like, well, what do you mean? He's like, it's weird. Why is it weird? I didn't really know how to answer that. I'm just like, well, it Magic the Gathering, what magic? What magic is in it? And I'm like, mana? Mana spell? There's spells? Magic? I don't know. How do you explain Magic the Gathering to an old person?
He literally smelled like he had been soaking in menthol cigarettes for about 5 days. He
was pretty bad.
That's all I remember about him, is that he talked a lot. He apparently was a food taste engineer. Huh. It's really interesting. It's like, why are you working at a convention center, dude? That sounds really smart. He was like a freaking chemist. He was a freaking chemist. Why is he there? He could own us. He could,
but he can't explain what Magic the Gathering is, or so, like, eventually, because Kristen and we had some friends that are from Columbus, and they took us out each night to go to absolute fantastic foods that made us angry to come back here to Rona, because we just went to Ruby Tuesdays, and the fucking appetizer at Ruby Tuesdays was the exact same price as the appetizer at this amazing place called Marcella's, which was these goat cheese bruschetta with, like, prosciutto on the top, and it was incredible. It was just like, it was like $10 for that, and then the fucking shrimp fondue we had, $10 for that. Dude, one was so much better than the other. It's just, oh my god. Fucking food in Columbus is stellar. I guess everybody in Star City Games, like, really likes going to Columbus because it's just always such fantastic food around there.
Yeah, they're not kidding. All the food we had was really good.
It was. It honestly was. But yeah, the old man was just like, why is it weird? Oh yeah, and eventually, like, Kristen and Lep and everything, they were there, and I'm like, maybe Kristen can explain to you Magic the Gathering and why it's weird. And then he went over by you and he talked with you for a while.
That's when he started talking to me about his job. He didn't ask me about Magic the Gathering. Apparently he waited till
No, he asked Lep about Magic the Gathering. He asked Lep about it, but yeah, he just kept asking me, but why is it weird? I don't know, okay? After a point, I'm just like, I can't tell you.
And then Vexy was like, oh, you needed to have it mansplained.
Yeah, we talked about that a little bit. Yeah, no, actually left her. He was like, oh, I just had to mansplain Magic the Gathering because apparently you didn't do a good enough job. I'm like, how do you explain it to an old person?
He probably doesn't think you have, like...
Well, I told him, like, it's a card game. Think like poker. But then everybody had to play poker in a big group, and the person that won poker goes on to a bigger group, and this is a bigger group than that. But why is it weird? I can't fucking answer that for you. I don't know.
It wasn't asking good questions. He was being very old and very menthol smelling.
He just seemed very indignant, and he had a lot to say, but it was mostly asking why things were weird.
You could see the hamster wheels turning in his head. He was scared of everything on our tables.
It was brightly colored.
It was very new.
It wasn't... Oh yeah, and he was like, I understand his artwork, because it had a picture of George Washington on the playmat. And I'm like, George Washington, don't you?
Yeah. That was... Yeah, sometimes you get, like, fun old people, and then you get old people who smell like menthol, and then you don't know any...
He was still fun in his own way. He was like a kooky old man.
He kind of reminded me of, like a grandpa that doesn't show his love, but then you'll find a letter 20 years after he dies saying how much he loved you. Like that sort of person. He seemed very gruff, like I worked at the old taste test factory for years.
I have an aunt, and I think she's still alive. I have a great aunt that she, for every birthday, she would give us either $3 or a bookmark, and that would be the type of person I would imagine this old man to be. That's what he would get for birthdays.
My grandma gave me so many... One of my grandmas, she was a librarian, and she gave me so many bookmarks.
There's so many things you can stick in there.
Yeah. I got one that was like, it was very 90s. No one reads books anymore.
We were literally like 15 and 18 years old and we're getting a fucking bookmark at $3.
Well, my grandma
I was already working.
My grandma was dead by that point.
Well, way to make it about you, Kristen. Anyways, my brother and I were 15 and 18. So we didn't have, like, $3 was, like, nothing.
That's really funny, though. She'd give you $3 and
$3 or a book, but she doesn't give us anything now. And then my favorite is
it's the grandma that's still around?
No, it was my great-aunt, Aunt Rosemary.
Oh, your great-aunt. Okay, never mind.
She's the one that she got in her car, and then she got panicked because she hit the gas when she was reversing, so then she just slammed on the gas and went into somebody's house. And that's when she had her license revoked, so...
So how come that we wouldn't get our license revoked for that, would we?
Well, I think at a point they're like, you're too goddamn old to keep driving.
Okay.
If you're going to drive into somebody's fucking house because you can't take your fucking foot off of the gas and stop, and you're just having your old person panics when you're just going... It was a really far away,
be
too.
An old person on YouTube is like, it resent what you said?
Good. Probably. And then, like, it wasn't like a distance between these two apartment complexes here. It was literally, like... quite the stretch.
So you have to be really old not to miss it, basically.
Yeah, she just kept doing it. It was like, her yard was probably a good, 30 yards or so. Like, it was really big. And then the other yard was also super big. And she just had to fucking keep going for probably what would at least be... At least probably 15 seconds of that. Yeah. She deserves to have her...
You have time to think.
Yeah, everybody has time to think when it's that fucking far away. And that's the funniest thing is, like, we went there, and me and my dad were both, like, stood in our driveway, because right after this happened, I think I was still living in the area. And we just we both were just, like, we went and we looked at both sides. I'm like, that's a really long way for Aunt Rosemary to keep doing that. He's like, don't talk about it, Andrea.
Talk about it. She's old.
She is. She's old. She's very crabby. She always gets her knickerbockers in a twist or whatever. But yeah, so that's what you can...
Horse feathers and a twist.
Horse feathers. So that's the type of thing you can tend to expect at a convention. You're going to be very hungry. You're going to gorge on food later.
Yeah,
you're going to eat extremely late. You will barter for people for lunch. You will eat the same goddamn snack all day, so bring something you like.
You rely on the kindness of others to survive.
You do. You really do. And then you're just going to be extremely tired. The whole thing. And then you get people and they come up to you, and if you don't look like you're having the best goddamn time, they're gonna feel awkward coming up to you, so you gotta be happy, and you gotta talk to them, and then you're gonna have a little child ask you what inspires you to do your job. It's like, well, I got bill collectors.
Yeah,
if I don't.
It's important to learn how to have the mask on when you're tired.
Yeah. You definitely have, like, a public face.
Yeah.
You're definitely very much, like, I become everybody's aunt. I ask everybody how their day is going. I ask them what type of deck they're doing, even though I don't understand 2.5 fucking things what they're saying. And then I tend to just make small talk about weather or drawing, or it's most of the time, oh, you having fun? If they won their game. That's the last one.
There we go. That's always important. Remember, know your audience and know what they're doing at the convention. So if they're furries...
Did you defeat that Kaiba?
Yeah, did you defeat the evil wizard?
All my goodwill's gone for like a week and a half.
Yeah.
Somebody's like, can you do this for me? Fuck no. You know how fucking nice I had to be all goddamn weekend for a combined of at least about 30 hours? No.
So
I won't do nothing.
If you've worked retail before, you'll probably fit right in.
Yeah, honestly.
If you haven't, maybe it would be good to learn retail.
Yeah,
or you can learn on the job. You tend to get more customers and better tips when you're friendly.
You do, if you can make conversation. So, like, one guy had, like, his shirt had, like, a Hail Satan or something on his shirt. I'm like, I like your shirt. And he's like, do you accept Satan as your Lord and Savior? And I'm like, he was pretty handsome. I don't know, And then we started a conversation from that, and we were talking about, like, religious movies that are fun to watch because they're ridiculous.
Some people's faces.
I mostly remember people. I remember people's faces where they have some sort of distinguishing feature. So, like, goofy-looking people, I tend to remember them really well. But, like, really average-looking people, I said hi to the same guy, like, 6 times in a row. And he's like, you talk to a lot of people, don't you? And I'm like, oh, fuck, I am so sorry. You gotta understand, I am on, like, show mode right now. I don't function well as an actual person. I'm just really nice to everybody and ask how their day is going. Also, don't be offended if somebody gives you the same show spiel, more than once.
Yeah.
It happens. It's very, like, you are so tired, like, the sides of your head hurt so much from just smiling all goddamn day.
Yeah, they sure do.
Ugh.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm
so
smiling
bitter.
now and I regret it.
So goddamn bitter. So tired.
Yeah.
But yeah, so those are the types of wondrous things you can expect at a convention.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's a good experience. They're all different. Even if they're technically the same thing, each time they're different. You know.
Yeah.
You sort of know what to expect, but then something else happens.
Oh, yeah. That's my favorite thing about actual conventions is, like, you bring all your gear and you're like, well, I'm expecting that prints are going to do really well today. And then it's buttons for some fucking reason. And everybody will buy a fucking button. It's wild. You cannot predict. And it's even the same convention. You go back years and years, it's something different will always be the thing that everybody wants.
Yeah.
And it's random, which is really aggravating.
Yeah.
Because you might stock up on a ton of prints, and then mostly just sell tokens and buttons.
Yeah. So, like, or like the one year at Anthrocon where buttons did really well, and I had, like, jack shit for buttons.
Yeah.
So it's things like that basically, okay, sometimes you will not be able to predict what's happening, and so it's best to have everything, basically.
Yeah.
Do a little bit of everything, have things stocked up, and see if you can predict it, which is hard.
Yeah, it is.
But literally, that's what you do.
Okay. Well,
yep.
If you guys have any questions or anything like that, we're starting to run out of questions. We are. There's a bunch where they're kind of like the state of the industry now compared to 2 to 5 years ago. I don't have enough information to actually answer that.
Yeah, neither do I, because that's like the time we started.
Exactly. I feel bad because one of them is like how to set up a good illustration career, and I feel like I would, like, what type of schooling you should set up for an illustration program. Which I feel really bad because I told the person I was probably going to make that one of the first episodes, and I never did. But that's because I realized I'd have to do a lot of sort of studying and sort of looking into it, and we've been really busy.
Yeah. So maybe next time
we'll probably do that one. That one is a good one.
Yeah.
The other ones, they're all sort of like, I think one is how to get good for free 99. The answer is just a fucking practice.
Yep.
You know?
Answer.
That I
do it.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much.
You gotta hustle if you want the
you gotta risk it. You gotta risk it for the biscuit.
There you go. That's a good one.
Yeah, I like that one. Okay, well, if you guys do want to send us any questions, we're probably actually going to start up doing our own artwork, making fun of our old artwork stuff again.
Yeah.
A little bit. You know, maybe some more mini fridge. But we're fridgeartpodcast@gmail.com. I've been Andrea Radick.
And I'm Kristen Plesko.
And have a good night.
Yeah.